Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. Distinguished guests, partners, colleagues, families, supporters, friends, and most importantly, believers in the power of learning. Welcome. Hello, world. My name is Patience Coleman Beyan, and I am the founder of LearnerslyWorld and the producer, developer, and creator of Learnersly educational board games. LearnerslyWorld is an Australian-based educational innovation venture dedicated to empowering children and young people through engaging, practical, and meaningful learning experiences. Tonight is not simply the launch of a product. It is the launch of a vision that existed long before there was a name, a logo, a prototype, or a business. A vision that began with a question that many educators, parents, and communities continue to ask. What if there was a better way to create learning experiences that truly engage, empower, and inspire children and young people, no matter where they live or their current circumstances? 4 years ago, I began a journey that did not yet have a name. What started as curiosity grew into research. Research became a passion, and that passion evolved into a mission. The idea emerged from years of observing educational challenges, listening to families, engaging with communities, working with young people, and reflecting on my own learning experiences. What I discovered was simple. Across countries, cultures, and communities, many of the challenges are remarkably similar. Children have potentials. Young people have talents. Families want the best for their children. Teachers work tirelessly, yet gaps continue to exist. Learners often lose hope and confidence. Learning is not always engaging, and access to quality educational resources is not always equal. I wanted to understand why. And more importantly, I wanted to explore what we could do differently. The journey was not easy. Creating something meaningful comes with responsibility. There were countless decisions to make. What should be left out? What learning outcomes matter most? How do we balance fun with purpose? How do we ensure learning remains educational while still being enjoyable? How do we create something children genuinely want to use while also delivering meaningful educational value? These questions led to extensive research, testing, redesigning, reviewing, and refining. Every decision came back to one guiding question: how can we create the best possible learning experience for children and young people? Today, I am proud to say that what began as an idea has grown into a flagship legacy project with enormous potential for the future. But to truly understand Learnersly, you must first understand the learner behind it. I was not born a designer. I was not known as a developer or a creator. I did not start my career developing educational products. I began as a learner. And if you ask about my professional background today, we will be talking public policy. We will be talking diplomacy, And we will be talking now entrepreneurship. A learner who was curious, a learner who loved asking questions, a learner who embraced opportunity wherever they appeared. Throughout my life, I explored many pathways, including youth advocacy, community development, poverty reduction initiatives, and educational empowerment. At the age of 17, I began exploring the world, and you can consider this as traveling internationally like a learner being discovered. So I was invited to many international functions at that age, just from the war situation in Liberia, and I have been discovered that that learner is curious, and we want her to be a part of these things. I learned a lot through those opportunities, and I applied my learnings bit by bit until today. And I can almost say I found a chance to put it all together, and there's more to come. Those experiences expanded my perspective and deepened my appreciation for learning. But my journey was as good as it looks, as good as it sounds, was not defined by opportunities alone. It was also shaped by challenges. From a young age, I understood that achievements required efforts. People often celebrate outcomes without seeing the work behind them. The late nights, the sacrifices, the determination, the setbacks, the continuous learning. Success did not happen because things were easy. It happened because I chose to keep learning. That's not all. At the age of 12, I experienced one of the most significant challenges of my lifetime. I lost my father, a man who guided me, encouraged me, and invested deeply in my education. His loss changed everything. Like many young people facing adversity, I suddenly found myself navigating uncertainty. Thanks to my second family, my aunt and uncle, who are also gone to rest. May their souls rest in perfect peace. And yet, that experience taught me something powerful. Circumstances can influence our journey, but they do not have to determine our destiny. I could not change what had happened, but I could choose how I responded. I chose to think. I chose to adapt. I chose to continue learning because survival alone was never enough. I wanted growth, I wanted progress, and I wanted purpose. I did not grow up with a silver spoon as I have been communicating. As you know, we all can attest to the reality of growing up in a war-torn situation. But I learned to make the most of every opportunity placed before me. And thankfully, I was never alone. I want to take this time to acknowledge my mother, whose strength and resilience continue to inspire me. I honor my late father, whose legacy remains part of everything I do. I acknowledge my siblings, my family, my mentors, my colleagues and friends who have supported me through different seasons of life. This moment belongs to all of you as much as it belongs to me. Over the years, through my work across education, in the classroom, in policy communities, and international advocacy, I noticed a recurring challenge that brings us to the question of why Learnersly exists. Education is powerful, yet effective learning is not always accessible. Too often, learners are taught what to learn, but not always given engaging way to learn it. So some students struggle because they lack the support. Others struggle because learning does not connect with their interests. Many families want to help, but do not always have the tools or resources they need. When we look around the world today, we see children building foundational skills, overage learners trying to catch up, young people returning after interrupted education, children outside formal learning environments, families doing their best to support learning at home. These learners are not lacking potentials. They simply need opportunities. They need support. They need tools that meet them where they are. Learnersly was created with them in mind, not to replace schools, not to replace teachers, not to replace existing educational systems, but to complement them, to provide another pathway for learning, a pathway that is engaging, inclusive, accessible, practical, and scalable. One question I am often asked is, why a board game and why now? We can answer this question together because the answer is simple. Learning should be interactive and connected creatively. Today's children belong to one of the most digitally connected generations in history. Technology has transformed the way we communicate, learn, and access information. And technology absolutely has a place in education. But learning is also human. Children learn through conversation, they learn through interaction, they learn through collaboration, they learn through play. Play allows children to explore ideas, solve problems, take risks, build confidence, and develop relationships. Board games create that unique opportunity for this to happen. They support literacy and numeracy, and we factor in life skills and sustainability learning into our board games. Also, board games encourage critical thinking and problem solving. They strengthen communication and decision-making skills. They help children learn patience, turn-taking, resilience, teamwork, and emotional regulations. In other words, they teach more than academic content. They teach life skills, the skills that help young people strive not only in school, but throughout life. That is why we created the Learnersly educational board games, the Green Edition, the Global Edition, and the Trivia Plus Edition. All three editions are available for you. Tools that transform learning into play with purpose. Tools that make learning engaging and accessible. Tools that encourage participation rather than pressure. Tools that can be used in homes, classrooms, libraries, community centers, and educational programs. Tools that do not depend on electricity, do not require internet, do not require expensive technology. Only participation, only interaction, only learning. These are not simply games. These are learning tools, connection tools, family engagement tools, opportunity building tools. But our vision extends far beyond a board game. Learnersly represents something bigger. It represents continuous learning, the understanding that learning is not an event, it is a lifelong journey. It represents the belief that every child deserves the opportunity to discover and develop their potential. It represents the belief that families, communities, educators, and mentors all play important roles in a learner's success. And it represents the belief that when learning becomes engaging and accessible, opportunities and possibilities expand. The Learnersly educational board game editions are only the beginning. They form part of a broader vision to encourage curiosity, creativity, confidence, collaboration, and lifelong learning. Tonight, I am not simply presenting these products. I am extending an invitation to educators, to parents, to schools, to development partners, to community leaders, to governments, to supporters, to everyone who believes that education can transform lives. Join us, explore Learnersly, experience it, challenge us, partner with us, help us improve it, help us expand its reach, because meaningful change is never created in isolation. It is built through collaboration, through shared purpose, through collective action. My story today is not powerful because it is perfect. It is powerful because it is real. And if there is one message I hope you leave with this evening, it is this: no child should have their future limited by circumstances. Education remains one of the greatest tools for creating opportunity, breaking the cycle of poverty and disadvantage, and unlocking potentials. That is why this work matters. That is why Learnersly matters. So let us build something better. Let us learn differently. Let us grow intentionally. Let us create opportunities for more children, more families, and more communities. Learnersly begins with board games, but it is building something more greater. A world where learning is engaging. A world where opportunity is expanding. A world where every child has a chance to learn, thrive, and succeed. Thank you for believing in this vision. Thank you for being part of this journey. And thank you for joining us as we officially launch the Learnersly educational board game editions. I thank you.